Betsy and Thomas here for the American Intelligence Media, where you get the best Trump tweet decodes in the world still to this date. No one has come forward and shown me that they can decode the tweets better than us.
Well, that's because we're the only ones doing it, but still.
No, there are people out there trying to do it. You know, you see Fox News and they'll throw up a tweet and then they talk about it, but see, they're never going to go deep in it and really pull out the dirt, because the dirt leads to the Queen. And all of these news agencies ultimately are there to cover up the Queen's crimes.
And Trump is ahead of them anyway with his tweets, which is going to come up here today. It's so funny that he's ahead of them. I mean, what's really funny is they think that they're playing this game because there's no Q drops right now, right?
Right.
This is the second time Q has gone down, right? The first time.
Well, it's a psyop, you know. The only people lingering are the ones that
So the T drops are what people have left. I'm sorry. But they finally come home to the true insider in the White House, which is the real Donald Trump.
Right. Okay. So we're having a good time, and we'll move to June 2nd. Again, if you want to follow the tweets, look at the article in the description box, and you can read along with us. The United States must, at long last, be treated fairly on trade. If we charge a country $0 to sell their goods, and they charge us 25, 50, or even 100% to sell ours, it's unfair and can no longer be tolerated. That is not free or fair trade. It is stupid trade.
Ooh, I love that new one moniker there, stupid trade. It's kind of like fake news. Because people aren't waking up to the fact that he's already got great deals. He's already won us, we calculate, between $10 to $16 trillion in deals that he got us out of, or got people to pay for, that he was paying for before. We were all paying for before, the president was. So he's going to hammer on this. And we told everyone last time we were talking about these things that he can't go wrong. Who cares what Trudeau in Canada says? He's a liar. Not only that, he dresses up in strange clothes and tries to act like he's everybody's friend. And he's not. He's a liar. This is like, I don't know how many times he's called him out on this lie, and Trudeau still acts like he's not caught. Well, I love that.
But it's all a part of this whole brainwashing thing. Most Americans don't even understand what fair trade is.
And Mexico? Oh, yeah, let's do a deal with Mexico, who since 2017 has had 100 politicians murdered in the line of duty. Yeah, I think probably we need to make sure exactly what he says. Stop the stupid trade deals, and the word is must. That's it, must. After every president has sold U.S. trade down the tubes, it's about time that we, the people, get the kickback instead of the people in the White House, which is what really happened. And it has been happening since the time of George Bush Sr. So he's going to keep harping on this because this is the NAFTA. This is what's happening right now with also, this is going to include Britain. Remember, Britain wanted out of Brexit to join NAFTA. Remember? I mean, nobody knows this, I guess. I should say we have reminded everyone of this. That was one of the reasons. They had already ripped off the whole European Union, Britain had, and so they wanted to get in with NAFTA. And so when we keep saying it goes back to the Queen, this is no joke. We aren't just finally found our niche of conspiracy theory and sanity, and we don't have anything to back it up. We have so much to back it up.
Oh, we have so much evidence, and evidence that would be admissible in court that shows there's a direct trail from Spygate to the Queen of England.
Now, the Queen of England owns the golden share for Serco, which controls Lockheed, which controls Leidos, which controls all these subsidiary groups, CACI, and so many contracts we can't name them all. We still have tons of researchers pulling them up and sending them to us, and we're revealing them through Betsy's Truth News headlines, what the miners dig up out of the earth. The gold that they bring forth is amazing, to show you the evidence. And one of the most amazing pieces of evidence is the thing you just showed us, called Spyfall, which is, of course, a trick on Skyfall, you know, James Bond's Skyfall movie, Spyfall.
Yeah.
164 points, which we have made every single one of, with the evidence showing the connection back to the British Crown and a rogue group of intelligence officers who have basically been in all positions of power in Britain.
And for those that want to see the article that Thomas is talking about, again, it's in that description box at the very bottom. Phenomenal work by an independent journalist who's put together a timeline, isn't it?
Oh, it looks just like the way that they do at Americans for Innovation, where they take a timeline of indictable information and then highlight the parts you're supposed to read, but they show you the whole document in case you want to get the whole thing, or you can just read it and you go, oh my goodness, here's all the proof. The real point here is that the first tweet also includes British contracts, not only British contracts through corporate intelligence, which is who created the entire Spygate, but British reach into our government through Serco, through the Crown agents, and through Serco's many companies, which includes owning a huge part of Lockheed Martin, one of our two largest military-industrial complex. I should call them thieves, because that's what they are. They get no-bid contracts and they steal most of it. That's who stole many of the trillions. Between Boeing and Lockheed, you want to look for the million trillions from the Pentagon, that's where you'd find it. And then that goes right back to the Queen. So when he's talking about stupid trade, he's also talking about just being ripped off by Britain, by Serco. The second that he gets a chance and the SES get out of the way, the senior executive service members who are controlling the federal agencies, he can actually hire someone other than Serco, and that would change trade tremendously. Now, I want to make a point. People say, well, look at it. He hasn't decreased the debt. He doesn't need to decrease the debt. He's increased the income. You see, when you take a slanted point of view from the beginning, you can always find something negative. But if you actually look at reality and then go from there, it's quite a different story. So let's look at the $10 trillion he's already saved, let alone the fact that he's just letting the Fed get a big scorecard. So when they go bankrupt, we won't owe them any of that, because we never did. And we can go back to 1927 and simply say that the vote in Congress was wrong. It's been a bad deal since 27, and before that it was a bad deal since 1913.
Well, I'm sorry, but other Trump tweet decoders aren't going to go to that level of depth of understanding. They're not going to be talking about senior executive service, Serco, the Crown agents. They're not going to be talking about that, Thomas. Okay, so now we go to June 2nd. Why is it that the Wall Street Journal, though well-meaning, never mentions the unfairness of the tariffs routinely charged against the U.S. by other countries, or the many billions of dollars that the tariffs we are now charging are and will be pouring into U.S. coffers?
And that's what he's talking about. He's already saved us a lot of money by not spending it. He's already saved us money on the taxes, on the federal government, and now he's going to save money by, he's telling you that his art of the deal is going to not only stop us from having to go into debt all the time to these people, but also we're going to get money coming back to us. That has not happened in a long, long time. And that's what that's why the G7, 6 of them, got angry, because we're the 7th. And why are they angry? Because they're all going to have to pay their fair share. And they don't want that. Their entire economy has been based upon socialism of America helping out other countries. Name a country that we don't underwrite, including Britain. But Britain gets theirs from the top, off the top, you see, and from the bottom. But all the other countries get money through USAID or the International Monetary Fund or the World Bank, or on and on and on. So everybody gets the handout from America. And now it's going to come back the other direction, just like he made people in NATO pay, just like he made Saudi Arabia pay, just like when he went around traveling. What did he do? He said, we're not your military arm. You're going to pay for it yourself. And you're on your own. I'm not coming to your defense. Oh, you want to buy some planes now, do you? Well, okay. We'll do that deal. I just happened to bring the guys who make planes right over here with me on this trip. And what did he do? Everywhere he went, he practically made a $1 trillion deal. So, and the $5 trillion climate accord cancellation is another reason that he's going to be putting money into our coffers, the opposite direction that it's always been going. Instead of paying Iran, I don't know why we ever did that, we're going to be probably involving them in some oil deal that will cause peace between Iran and Qatar, which would stop the war in Yemen. I mean, these are the kind of deals that he can do because he's going to speak the truth.
Okay, so the next three are retweets. And again, we point out that when things are retweeted, that means, hey, look, somebody else said it, and I am putting it here because I want you to pay attention to it. So this was a retweet from Jesse B. Waters. The media has had its worst week ever.
Now, I like watching Waters, especially when it was Waters' World, because it was so funny.
Well, actually, if you're speaking of Waters, he's really kind of swimming in the... Remember how they used to have the baby pools? Mm-hmm. Okay, so they have the little baby pools, and then you can be in the shallow end, or you can be in the deep end, or you can go out way out in the ocean. These people at Fox News, they just sit in the baby pool. I'm really getting tired of it. And that's really... Okay, fine. The media had its worst week, and the reason you're having such a bad week is because you people are in the shallow end. And citizens are addicted to truth right now. We want deep truth. That was my opinion about that.
Well, I didn't get to finish my sentence, which was, if you consider Waters...
Oh, please.
Comedic news.
He's just he's a lightweight
comedy.
for the flakes that come into Fox thinking they're getting deep stuff.
You can go watch this show, and they're just going to be sitting around guffawing at the fact that GDP estimate, 4.7, that was considered impossible. 223,000 K jobs added in May. All the other agencies have worked hard to ignore this. So what did they bring out? And they didn't bring that out, and that's why they're in the baby pool. What they should have brought out is the lie that the letter from Trump's lawyers to Manafort that was leaked is recent. No, it's not. It's January.
Yes, that's how far behind. They are so far behind the news. Why would anybody turn on the TV and watch Fox News?
3.8% unemployment? Are you kidding me? If these are even close to being right, these are the best scores, I think, in my life, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they're saying. They have to come up with new names for these this type of winning because we've never seen it before. Now, he unplugged the Treasury because he's got that under control and the stock market's going up and down, isn't it? Oh, it was frozen going up before, wasn't it? Aimed towards a crash. It's not going to crash if it's going up and down because that's the whole point. So the next one is from Fox and Friends, and it's just touting these numbers, and it shows a clip from that, and they're just sitting there so giddy going, we don't have words to describe this, and the other stations are talking about what? Stormy Daniels' lawyer?
That's really sad. I mean, it's an embarrassment if you go around saying that you're watching CNN. Now, the next one was a retweet to Corey Lewandowski, looking forward to being on Fox and Friends tomorrow. Ooh, woohoo, I'm going on Fox and Friends. Okay. I'm sorry, but, I understand that there are people that they think they're really on cutting edge when they're watching Fox and Friends. But let's get real. Does Fox and Friends ever give us anything substantive? Or the others?
Well, when they do, you can pretty much see that we've been talking about most of those things long before they did. In most cases, sometimes they'll break a little bit of this or that. But I think that what Corey is saying here is he's going to go on and he's going to promote Trump. And what you're saying is there needs to be a whole lot more than just Fox News. There needs to be as many right-wing stations as there are left-wing stations.
No.
If there's going to be, if you're going to choose a side, then let's have equal on both.
If Fox is touting that it is the big voice for truth in the media right now, we need to see it going deeper. Okay, next one. When you're almost $800 billion a year down on trade, you can't lose a trade war. The U.S. has been ripped off by other countries for years on trade. Time to get smart.
He's never changed his tune on that. This is a man who's dealt in billions in international markets. I think we should listen to him. And we've said this again and again. 800 billion down. Let's just call it $1 trillion. Round it off. Let's take the lies of Mexico and Canada, add it to it, and now we got $1 trillion. Every year we lose $1 trillion. And why do we do that? Why are we doing? Who agreed to that? Did any American ever agree to that? Was that ever on an election? That we got to choose yes or no? Shall we go 800 billion in the hole every year by supplementing the rest of the world? I don't think anyone's going to vote for that. So what I'm saying here is he's just going to keep hammering on this until he gets it in our head that just like fake news, there is fake trade. And what does he call it? Stupid trade.
Well, and there's also fake justice, and we'll pick that up another time. Maybe we'll get a good, fat, juicy tweet that'll lead us into the federal court system sometime.
That would be good,
That would be
because there's
nice.
fake justice.
Oh, I see Jesse Waters. He's got water wings on now in his baby pool. Okay, so there he is. Quote, the only thing Trump obstructed was Hillary getting to the White House. And then, close quote, so true. I mean, really? After all this time, that is your statement? That's what Trump obstructed?
Instead of
Hello?
the Queen's spies
Yes.
tried to take over America with George Soros' help to put Hillary Clinton in as the new queen of the Americas.
Right,
To
and-
try to rival Lizzie.
And what about Julian Assange? Why aren't they talking about that on Fox News?
Oh, we can't talk about anything real.
Okay, so nothing more for him. Let's moving on. As only one of two people left who could become president, why wouldn't the FBI or Department of, quote, Justice, unquote, have told me that they were secretly investigating Paul Manafort on charges that were 10 years old and had been previously dropped during my campaign? Should have told me.
Now imagine, he is saying this, and what does this do? This underscores what we just said and what we just did. Fake justice. We just wrote an entire intelligence report showing you how the justice system has anything but justice in it, and it's rigged, and you know if you're going before a federal judge, the outcome before you even go before the judge. And it's the lawyers. The only people who make anything good out of all of that are those people raised up to a position of esquire, which the Constitution specifically forbids that there be anyone with a titled position or anyone in a position higher than we the people. And the justice system through courts has given corporations through the Supreme Court the existence of a person. Corporations are a person, unless they go bankrupt, and then they're not responsible for anything. Killing people doesn't matter. They're a corporation. It's not really a person. And so what happens here is we ask for an entry for mentioning fake justice, and now we have it. So it is so nice to hear Trump going back and underscoring what we have said and been about the only people, I swear, when I was yelling this in the old days when I used to yell a lot because no one was listening. And now everybody's not only listening, they write things that I look at it and I go, oh, well, the guy who just wrote Spyfall, it looks just like Americans for Innovation and Aim for Truth joined one. They have the evidence in a timeline. And you cannot refute this evidence. And there it is. It goes back to Sir Geoffrey Patty, who holds the golden chairs for the Queen and is on her Privy Council. So the active intelligence and defense agencies are all working with the retired ones, what we like to call, in some cases, the rogue CIA, the corporate intelligence. You call it what you want. They call it the White House cabal. And everybody has their own little family, their own little mafia, just like in Russia. And so the Queen's got the biggest one. She got the biggest one, maybe, I don't know, is it equal to the Vatican and the Pope? Pretty close. The point is that there is no justice. And so when they went after Paul Manafort, who got, look what he says here. He doesn't mention it here. But Paul Manafort, as we've mentioned, oh, yes, he does. Ronald Reagan, Bob Dole, and many others. There are like 5 people Manafort put in the White House.
Right, that comes in the other tweet, which reads, Paul Manafort came into the campaign very late and was with us for a short period of time. He represented Ronald Reagan, Bob Dole, and many others over the years. But we should have been told that Comey and the boys were doing a number on him, and he wouldn't have been hired. But remember now, this Manafort thing, because it was so old, why did Mueller pick it up? Well, he picked it up because he didn't have anything.
He had to leak again?
Yeah.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, wait a second. The lawyers delivered it under confidential seal. So unless those lawyers broke their attorney-client privilege with the President of the United States, they did not leak it. That means Mueller leaked it and his team. So, hello, someone needs to go to jail for that letter alone. For that letter alone, because they have now become so desperate,
Right,
that when Trump reveals that he's basically the best thing we've seen in modern times as a president, what do? They try to leak something that goes back to January. And then in March again, they leaked it. And so they probably had this 20-page document all the way back then. And what does it say? What we've always told you from the beginning, and any reasonable lawyer would tell you, and anybody who's not telling you this has not looked at the law. It is an unduly constituted special counsel to investigate a non-crime. First off, there has to be a crime. Second off, there was no crime. Third off, the president can't commit or be involved in being considered for a criminal investigation. He can only be impeached for criminal activities. On and on, everything we listed, that's what was in that letter. And then that's only coming out now because Giuliani's out there just vomiting on everybody, yelling and screaming it, doing anything he can to get the attention to say, it's over, folks. As of September 1, that's all, folks. There ain't going to be no more Mueller investigation. Why? Because it's fake. And what did we tell you from day friggin' one? That they would go after Paul Manafort for indiscretions in real estate with his daughter. We told you every detail that they did go after. I hope they didn't listen to us and use that as a basis, but
no, but
everybody knew this.
People were busy listening to Q saying trust Sessions.
Right. Oh,
that's
yeah,
what they were doing. And trust Mueller and trust Wray and trust them all. Yeah.
Coming in with Q. Q's going to reveal who he is. He's going to show us who he is. Yeehaw!
Oh, and then there's Michael Horowitz. He's coming in his white horse. He's going to save the day and put them all away. He's not. He's going to disappoint you too, people.
He's not the Calvary.
No.
And what people's speculation on all of that, you wasted a lot of words. Inspector generals are notorious for never finding anything. Now, they couldn't even hang Paul Manafort after, and I think Trump says it here, as we say it. Trump says 10 years. It actually goes back to 2004 that they were after Manafort. Because they said, how did he get so much power? Him and Roger Stone, who they went after and knocked him out of being Trump's campaign manager, so that who would he go to next? Paul Manafort, who's in his own company. Who would he gone to next? Probably Stone or Kelly. Kelly or Black. I mean, there's only one big lobbyist political election opposition group for the Republicans and one for the Democrats, and then one who stands in between. Fusion GPS has no morals. They stand between. They serve both sides. They serve everyone evil. So he knew this. He knew it when he got Manafort. He knew it when Stone was knocked out of the race, and he knew it when Manafort was knocked out of the race. He waited 2 days from the time they told him. And I don't know anybody but us that points that out. He was told Manafort was under 4 or 5 separate investigations, and they told him what for, that none of them hold much water. And what did Trump do? 2 days later, fired him. He was told that Flynn was under investigation. We now find out Sally Yates lied. There was no investigation. Sally Yates lied because Comey, because McCabe, Struck, and the other agents that were there interviewing Flynn said he did not lie. He was completely truthful. Sally Yates comes back a couple days later and says he lied. I want him out. Trump, 2 days later, he's out. Okay? So Trump did everything he could. He worked with who he had. And by the way, when you're working in Washington, D.C., you've got a very limited group of people. Who would want to go there and become stained with the disgusting smell of that swamp? You would never get it out of your clothes.
Okay, so, now since we've been talking, I think a new tweet has come in. Would you take a moment and pull that up on your screen? And yes, since you have the screen in front of you, read that out to folks.
It looks like...
why don't you hit the refresh button just in case, you know.
I don't
POTUS can be very prolific on a Sunday afternoon.
I will after this one because I'm not a high-tech person like you, Betsy. I don't
refresh.
Understand machines.
It's all the refresh button.
I understand old machines. Okay, so it says Donald J. Trump, check. Ooh, that's the trip code's looking good, and then it says at real with a small r, Donald with a capital D, and Trump with a capital T.
Okay, so it's the real Donald Trump.
It's the real Donald Trump.
What does he say?
The trip code is good, and he says Mark Penn, and then he quotes Mark Penn saying, why are there people from the Clinton Foundation on the Mueller staff? Why is there an independent counsel? To go after people and their families for unrelated offenses? ... Constitution was set up to prevent this... ... Stormtrooper tactics, almost.
Yes, Stormtrooper! SS!
A disgrace! Exclamation mark. So Donald says a disgrace. So he gets Mark Penn saying Stormtrooper. What did we just call Mueller? We just decided about a week ago, from now on he's called...
Herr SS Mueller.
Herr SS
And we got Herr
Mueller.
SS Rosenstein. What do you call them?
Herr Mueller SS Stormtrooper.
But that's what they are. See, folks, we're in an information war. And the team with the most information and used in the most intelligent way is going to win this thing. And so, for example, now that we have our path all the way from Paul Manafort and all these issues we're talking about to the Queen, do you think we're going to let up? No. So you can throw us some fresh meat, Mueller. We'd like it to be yours. And once we get that eaten up, we're going for the next person. We're going all the way, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Mueller's been paid $17 million, he and the FBI and his investigators, whereas everyone on the Trump team, who's the only people that they've actually gone after, who are the only people they've gone after, they've all lost their houses, they've gone bankrupt, they can't get their appointments, they've been waiting over a year to get their appointments without another job, waiting for their job. These people are cruel. These are SES members. These are old status quo bureaucrats following the model of the Queen that says, oh, we'll just wait them out. It's not a problem, dear. Well, after 3 years, we'll see how they feel. That's what they're doing to them.
The Queen needs to let go of America right now and give the American people some perps.
Here's what we're telling you. Queen Elizabeth II.
Queen Lizzie.
We're telling you that you and Sir Geoffrey Patty
busted.
Should sit down and say, you're busted spies, you're corporate spies. You need to dump all of them, all their companies that we're revealing in the next day or two through the incredible work of Michael McKibben leading this variety of research teams as well as our teams, all putting it together in the next probably 48 hours. You've got 48 hours, Queen Lizzie, to dump all the companies of SCL, of Bell Paddington, of Serco. You better get out, because otherwise it's coming back for you. Brits can't question your businesses, but we Americans can, and you've committed so many crimes we've caught you red-handed in. You can't blame it on Sir Geoffrey Patty and your corporate intelligence group.
The Queen's hands are all over this.
Oh, she is so guilty.
She is the one that's keeping Julian Assange imprisoned in that embassy.
Spygate goes back to the Crown. It doesn't matter who she passes it on to. The Crown is guilty. Sir Evelyn Rothschild is guilty. We can name all the people. We have the reports coming out. We have their signatures on the papers of incorporation. We have the documents to show you the golden shares. We've already done that. We've already shown you how they're interconnected through Serco, how they work through SES, how they work through USAID, how they work through OPIC, how they work through the Crown agents, and many other things. But now we're getting ready to show you how Spygate they're already crumbling. Serco's crumbling right now. SCL, one of their groups, I forget which one, the ones that handle their money, they went bankrupt. Cambridge Analytica, both companies in America went bankrupt. Cambridge Analytica in Canada has been called out. They're actually called Aggregate IQ, and because they're Brexit interference, they're going down. They're all going down. Why? Because Boris Johnson was leading the charge completely, publicly, politically, while Sir Geoffrey Patty was working with the Privy Council, which is all the active members of everyone powerful in Britain, all working together with the Queen's consent.
Wait a minute. Jesse Waters is drowning. Go get him.
Jesse Waters just went underwater.
He's like, what's going on?
Sorry, but I had to spew this out because we're getting ready to tell you this, folks, and if I don't warm you up for this, you're just going to go, you might let it pass you by too quickly, because what we're going to show you is indictable evidence to get rid of all the Five Eyes, because the intelligence agencies and the Sixth Eye, stingrays. Okay, let me explain something.
If we want to make America great again, we got to get the Queen out of our business.
Oh yes, and Israel.
Yes,
the Israel spies, both
yes.
the rogue, both the Zionist spies, both the Zionist Israel spies, both Israel, and the Five Eyes. Okay, no other intelligence agency should be able to work within our boundaries or work with us in anything unless we're at war with a country. There is no reason for any of it unless we're at war with someone.
And no dual citizens should be given a top secret clearance to work in them either.
Stephen Halper is a dual citizen. That's why
most of the congressmen are running around with dual citizenship.
Stephen Halper is on CSI with Sir Richard Dearlove, who walked Christopher Steele through every step of the fake Russian dossier. We now have proof of all of that. Proof. The documents. This isn't associations. This isn't conspiracy. This is proof. We have the signed U.S. documents of how Halper was paid, how he lied, how he was paid, where he was, when he did. It's all out now. It's only a matter of time. So what we're saying is that what Trump is going to do with trade, he now needs to do with intelligence.
But you know what I like about this? Because these people are not in the mainstream discussion, like people don't know who Dearlove is or Patty or even Halper, really, that it's going to be easy just to quietly disassemble this thing behind the scenes, and folks won't even know that this information war is taking place, because we got to close these companies, we have to stop funding them, we have to put those people away, we have to get our borders tightened up. And when I mean borders, I'm not necessarily talking about the physical borders, I'm talking about this awful relationship that the Queen has put into our system. We've got to cut that out. So we could actually win this war without many people even know that it's going on.
The Queen's counselor, Sir Evelyn de Rothschild, Reuters Thompson, AP.
Yes.
Okay?
Fox News.
We are
because
in
they
a
get
prison
news from
planet,
Reuters.
a prison information planet, as you pointed out so many times, Betsy. We, when we were searching Serco, didn't know that at the same time in Britain it was getting ready to go under, being taken down with an $80 billion fraud case. We didn't know that. And we were researching it hard, and we couldn't find that information out here in America. We had to go in through back doors and look at documents, government documents, lawsuits, where people were suing, where people died. We had to go do all kinds of reverse counter-propaganda, intelligence research to go in by looking at 3 lies and realizing that the 4th lie is actually the truth, or that the 3rd lie shows us the 3rd different direction from the obfuscating the truth. So we figured out how to work with these liars.
That's why you're a master decoder.
We have chased it back, but the conclave and the groups of researchers from those 3 groups I keep mentioning, Michael and AIM for Americans for Innovation, go there, look at the timeline. Every bit of what is severely significant as evidence that we or they or others that we all work with goes on that timeline. So you want to convict somebody, just go there, choose a date, and you can do it. Choose a name, plug it in. You want to see if they're SES? That's what those researchers did. Go, plug it in, find it out.
Okay,
we are not talking conspiracy theories. We are now telling you that there have been few things that we've ever seen that we really thought, was it's just conspiracy theory.
But then you start doing the research and you go, oh my goodness, they never left. The American Revolution, what a tricky way to let us think. And then over time, after going to school and learning the history the way we were taught it, and we pass that on to the next generation, we actually thought we were free people, but yet our liberties are taken away more and more all the time. Well, folks, we didn't win the war. The Brits are still in control, and we don't mean our British brothers and sisters that are struggling with the same beast that we are. But folks, we all need to be looking at Windsor Castle and seeing that they're largely responsible for a lot of the enslavement of humanity.
I'm thrilled Trump hasn't gone there. I hope he does not go to Britain until they can say they're secure. And they are the least secure of any nation probably in the European Union.
Yeah.
So I don't want my president going there, and I don't want him associating with the likes of Theresa May and Boris Johnson. As long as he has anything to do with the Foreign Office, we can't have anything to do with him because he's a criminal against America. He meddled in U.S. elections. We have to sever our ties and send their diplomats and their corporate control structure back home.